Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another reaction. I assume because this one is from Patreon Mitsu is Sleepy that this is probably a song that was found on a rhythm game of some sort, and its name is shuìlián. I'm pretty sure that that translates to water lily, and it's by somebody named Street. I don't know if that's a group or an individual producer, more than likely a producer, but knowing that most of the stuff that Mitsu throws at me is songs from rhythm games, I can only imagine that this song is going to have a lot of movement happening throughout it. So let's hear what it has to offer, shall we? Let's go. Ooh. Beautiful right off the bat. One of my favorite instruments. Maybe that's why Mitsu threw it at me. She knows how much I love the erhu sound. Already had a little bit of play with the time signature at the beginning. Very funky, though. Ooh, okay. Yeah, this is a little bit more like fusion jazz. Got some Cassiopeia happening. I've got like 3 more minutes of this. I'm really interested to hear what they're gonna do with this song. So far, it's been really, really vibey. But they might just break down and do something completely different for all I know. Beautiful fill on the drums. The kit in this is really punchy. It kind of cuts through the mix. Highlighted it a lot. Very pingy ride. Okay, we got a little bit of a breakdown. Makes me wonder if they're going to do the same thing coming out or if they're going to go a little bit more hardcore. Let's find out. Right back into it. No reason to mess up the groove. Not right now. This would be so much fun to play with. It's got a lot of open room. This would be really fun to play live as a drummer. Literally the exact same fill I would have played. I'm hearing little things. I want to talk about them, but I don't want to speak too much right now. I'm probably already annoying some people. All right. Just sit there. Hey. Everything right square on the floor. Nice. I really like that, the piano just kind of sitting there on that one note. I I did not expect that. I thought it was going to be something a lot more energetic and hard to follow, but that was just a good funky time, wasn't it? So right at the beginning, I mentioned that I loved that erhu sound, and while that was not an erhu, that was a little too low. I feel like that was probably a zhonghu, which is basically the bass equivalent of an erhu, which is the much smaller, like piccolo, soprano, high-end version of that. So that was definitely too low for an erhu. That must have been a zhonghu. I can't imagine anything else would have gotten that low on some of those notes. I could be incorrect. I'm not like a professional or anything, but I do love those instruments. They're beautiful. I've always loved that sound. It's just been something that I was attracted to immediately the first day I heard it, and I never left. But I love it, and I love that this song has basically only that all the way through. That and drums, a little bit of piano for support. That's it. And I love it. It's everything I love in like a funk fusion kind of sound. This is very interesting because the whole song sounded funk fusion-esque, or at least inspired with funk fusion, but it didn't really have so much funk in it other than the drums, really. Even the piano wasn't doing too much funkadelic stuff. It was just kind of sitting there with the groove. The drums were playing around, having a lot of fun with that open space in between. And largely the zhonghu was kind of just carrying the melody as it would in any other sort of way. That contemporary style blend that they do a lot of. Even the shamisen these days, there's a contemporary class of shamisen playing that is much more attuned to working with those modern styles and other instruments that just feels better for that. And this is one of those songs that blends the traditional and that more modern edge. But I think the real highlight of this song is probably the drums. And of course, like, you would figure I'd be a little bit biased. I wonder why, right? But it's not specifically the playing. While that was brilliant playing and it was very straightforward, there wasn't a bunch of fluff. There was plenty of fills. I mean, plenty of fills, but none of them like overstayed their welcome. They were very succinct. They set really nice. Like I said, that one is exactly what I was hearing in the prep leading up to that. That measure fill is exactly what I would have done just listening to this blind or playing to it live without much practice. That's a really simple but effective fill that sounds great, and it would have worked perfectly, and it clearly did. So that sort of thing, the drums are fantastic, but the mixing, the way that the drums are panned across here, the way that the panning works with this song, mostly having the drums, I didn't really hear much panning on either other instrument. Like, the other instruments were taking up their own space in the mix, like they were dead center though. They didn't really move too much to the side. They might have been a little bit off to the side, but they were largely dead center. Same with the piano as well as the zhonghu here. They didn't really move. The drums were completely separated. The only drums that I could hear were dead center were the snare and the bass, and that makes sense because they're the center of the kit largely. If you want to pan a drum set, usually what you do is you take the left side and the right side and you completely separate them as far as makes sense and kind of justify everything else based around the snare as the centerpiece alongside the bass. You just pan accordingly to what feels right for the distance. In this, I think they straight up just full, like, the right mic went all the way right. The overhead mic that would usually be right up here, like it is on mine, it was just all the way over there. And then the left mic, which would be right up in here, was all the way over. Like, they just cranked the dial as far as it would go and then slapped the snare in the middle. The toms kind of found their own way through. The hi-hat was very heavy and present in this side. I don't even think I heard it in this side, so that's why I'm feeling like they just shoved that microphone as far to the left as they could. So it really just made you feel like you were sitting behind the kit. And that's one of the things I love about mixing drums, is how much room you can give that. There are some people who will flip the drums and make it the opposite, where like you would have heard the hi-hat coming out of this ear, but I feel like that pulls you away from the actual player, and I feel like just leaving the hi-hat in the side where the hi-hat would normally be it a left or right player, is completely up to the person. feels better because you're seeing it on the screen and your brain kind of mirrors that internally without even thinking about it. So you just get a really neat, wide mix. There's plenty of room and it sounds really neat, especially in songs like this that are very explorative, and there's a lot of that room being taken up by specifically the drums. I mentioned Cassiopeia in the beginning there, and that's an example of a band that always has great mixing and panning on everything that they do, and one of those is the drums. They're very centered. They have a lot of compression on their drums, not so much that it's like distracting, but enough that you feel that extra punch, and they do that all the time. Not in every song, but a lot of them. So I'm nerding, I'm geeking out, I'm being a dork here. I can't get over it. This is a really well-produced track. It has all of the things I love about mixing and mastering in it. It has all of the great playing on the drums as a drummer that I respect and adore hearing. It has my favorite instruments, the erhu slash zhonghu in there, which I love as instruments. Their sound is so cool to me. And the piano just diddling about in the background, supporting both of them, carrying the melody forward, handling the harmonies as needed. It's just, in my opinion, might be one of the best overall songs for me that I've heard in this like funk fusion genre. I love this one, and I'm adding it to like 5 different personal playlists. This is a really, really neat song, and I know that it's not going to get the love it deserves, and I know that not enough people are going to be watching this video and seeing how excited I am about this one, and I'm kind of bummed about that, but I will live with it as long as some people go and give this a listen on your own, put on your best headphones, listen on your best speakers, and just be there, be present in this mix. This is an amazing track and is definitely up there with some of the best produced songs I've ever heard. So hats off to whoever Street is, whoever they are, whoever this producer is. Brilliant work. I have nothing else to say, really. And since I have nothing else to say, and I just went on a yap fest for the past like 5 minutes, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I hope you enjoyed my insight on this one. And if you have any other songs that you want me to listen to, whether or not they sound like this is completely up to you. I'd be into anything. I love music. So if you want me to listen to anything, drop it in the comments below and I will do my best to get to it. And otherwise, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see me geek out about music stuff more, you know how to follow me and support me and all that. And I will see you in the next video. Goodbye!